I can't remember. Do fuel lines also apply strut strength? No, they do not. They're noodly if you attach them to robotic parts and move them around like that. What are we watching? I don't know. Well, let's see. Ooh. There's a Starlink tomorrow early in the morning. Cool. I didn't even see that. I saw SpaceX had this teed up. This guy right here, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Ooh, new thing from public resource. Yeah, here, I got one for you. All right, guys, I'm going to go grab lunch. I'll be right back. Enjoy.
On Earth, we move between points which remain fixed relative to each other. But in our solar system, all bodies are in continuous motion. Man has long observed the movements of the sun, the moon, and the planets. He's measured angles and distances, calculated gravitational forces and the shapes of orbits. His vision was limited only by technology. The sharper tools of the 20th century have allowed him to measure the movements of the sun and the planets with reference to other stars in our galaxy. And now he leaves Earth on journeys into space. Eventually, man will set out toward another planet, millions of miles distant. The instruments and techniques of modern science will guide his spacecraft with an accuracy and precision inconceivable to earthbound navigators. Though the spacecraft will be traveling at tens of thousands of miles per hour, it will seem to the men on board to be hanging motionless. For them, the stars will be fixed in their positions. There will be no day or night. The receding Earth will not remain behind them, but will be imperceptibly moving ahead. Where they left Earth, there is now only a point in space. If their objective is Mars, for example, they will not be moving directly toward it, but along a curving path, leading them to another point in space beyond the sun. They must arrive at that point at the same time as Mars. Neither they nor the planet can stop and wait. On this trip, an error in injection velocity at Earth of less than 0.1%, that's about 25 miles per hour, will, if it goes uncorrected, cause the craft to miss Mars by over 1/3 of a million miles. The additional propellant and time required to correct so large an error near the end of the trip might be prohibitive. The mission would likely fail. But errors in spaceflight can be corrected during flight because the principles of space navigation are based on the knowledge that the forces involved are constant and predictable. In our solar system, each planet is locked into its orbit around the sun by its particular velocity, the planet's momentum being balanced by the sun's gravitational pull. The inner planets, where the pull is greatest, travel at greater speeds than the outer planets, where the pull is weaker. If a spacecraft is to leave the Earth for another planet, it must increase or decrease the speed imparted to it by the orbiting Earth. Yet, either way, this velocity change is a fraction of the orbital speed of the Earth, 66,000 miles an hour. The velocity imparted by the Earth also puts the spacecraft into the ecliptic plane. That's the plane of the Earth's orbit. It would take the expenditure of considerable energy to get out of that plane. Fortunately, all planets move in planes very close to the ecliptic, and they all orbit in the same direction. Unlike the planets, a spacecraft can change its orbit and its direction because it can change its velocity. When a spacecraft escapes the Earth's gravity in the same direction as the Earth's travel around the sun, its greater momentum around the sun overbalances the sun's pull, throwing the spacecraft outward. But the sun's steady pull eventually slows the craft's outward flight, and here, unless it can boost its speed, it will start to fall inward. On the other hand, if the spacecraft leaves the Earth at the same speed as before, but in a direction opposite to the Earth's travel, it reduces its own velocity around the sun, permitting the sun to pull it gradually inward. But as it falls, it gains speed. This increasing momentum will throw it outward again unless it can reduce its speed. It is a controlled velocity change which alters the course of an orbiting body. In this voyage to Mars, the path the spacecraft should follow has been computed. But putting the craft on exactly the right path cannot be done. Even the most sophisticated launching rocket controls can't avoid small inaccuracies in launching or account for the uncertainties in the orbits of the Earth and planets. There will always be a small error to be corrected. The first correction will compensate for most of this error. A small velocity change made early in the voyage will have a much greater effect than the same change made later. Later corrections will remove residual errors and refine the trajectory of the craft. Fundamental to all navigation is the ability to measure angles. For this, man in space uses a sextant, a device he's been using for over 200 years. With this instrument, the astronaut measures precisely the angle between a planet and a known star. This is recorded along with the exact time of the sighting. This angle defines a cone of position because the angle between the planet and the star could have been sighted from any point on the surface of that cone. But one sighting will not tell him where. The astronaut does know he is near his desired trajectory. His approximate speed, elapsed time, and limits of possible error locate him within a football-shaped volume which navigators call the estimated ellipsoid of position. The space where this ellipsoid intersects the cone establishes his position more closely, in an area where the two coincide. From this, he knows about how far he is from his desired trajectory. Repeated sightings will be made to reduce the amount of uncertainty until the actual trajectory is determined within the allowable limits. If it does not coincide with the desired one, the astronaut must perform a mid-course correction to put his craft on a corrected trajectory. A more precise method for determining position uses 3 sightings from separate known bodies. The 3 cone-shaped surfaces intersect and establish a point of position. Actually, throughout the flight, Earth-based tracking information will be used to correct or supplement onboard navigation, so long as it can supply sufficiently accurate data. But as the spacecraft nears the target position, millions of miles from Earth's tracking stations, the astronaut will have to rely to a much greater extent on his onboard navigational equipment. Any backup information from Earth would take 12 minutes to travel the 134 million miles that separate them. He will determine the exact location of his craft with respect to the planet, using sextant sightings, this time between the target planet and known stars. Now he can calculate the final velocity changes that will put him in a precise parking orbit around the planet. Once determined, these velocity changes are applied, and an orbit around the planet is attained. The astronaut will then use his sextant to track landmarks. This confirms his parking orbit and determines its characteristics, permitting him to plan a descent trajectory. In all space operations, man's tools are of utmost importance. They consist of information-gathering devices, both optical and electronic, time-keeping devices, and computers. For manned space navigation, the information-gathering devices are the most varied. They include sextants, or other optical instruments, to measure angles between celestial bodies. Onboard radar and other electronic equipment for position determination and tracking. Earth-based radio and radar for precise distance and velocity measurements. And inertial sensing and measuring equipment to provide a reference frame for positioning the vehicle during mid-course correction and to control the corrective maneuvers. Accurate timekeeping and time recording are done electronically to an accuracy of 1/10,000,000th of a second. The computers, on-board and Earth-based, use both stored information and that furnished them by the measuring and sensing devices. They process at a high speed the large number of involved calculations necessary during all phases of a journey. They can solve in seconds problems which would take an experienced navigator an entire voyage to calculate. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is engaged in the design and development of these devices and at the procedures and techniques for their use. Studies are underway to determine what navigation functions can best be performed by man in space and which function should be automatic or Earth-based. Automatic onboard star tracking equipment developed for unmanned spacecraft will be available to supplement manned equipment. Deep space tracking equipment and methods are now so accurate that spacecraft can be guided to the moon and the near planets with remarkable accuracy. For example, Mariner 2, on its mission to Venus, traversed 180 million miles of space and was placed within 12,000 miles of its target center. This is like shooting at a moving target from a platform that is moving and rotating at a range of 1 mile and hitting the target 4 1/4 inches from dead center. Later, Ranger 7 hit the moon within 8 miles of its aiming point, 1.5 inches miss at 1 mile. Ranger 9 came closer, impacting only 2 3/4 miles from its target center. Mariner 4 came even closer. Traveling 325 million miles, Mariner 4 swept past Mars within 2,000 miles of its aiming point. And the very first surveyor, Surveyor 1, soft landed on the moon within 9 miles of its target center. A remarkable first attempt. These historic space flights are great technological achievements. They're skillful demonstrations of the reliability and accuracy of Earth-based tracking techniques. But we're still working on the considerable problems of landing on a planet within an accuracy of 10 miles. At the same time, even more effort is being directed toward simplification of both equipment and methods. In manned flight, studies are underway to determine how onboard and Earth-based systems can best work together with the aim of reducing onboard equipment as much as possible. We're constantly improving our knowledge of the planet's masses, their orbits, distances from the sun, so that trajectories can be computed more accurately. We are developing trajectory equations that can be solved by simplified computers, which will still provide navigational data to the degree of reliability needed for manned flight to the planets. Development of new optical techniques for angular measurements are being explored. These may enable a navigator to get accurate information with handheld sextants. Our knowledge is constantly being increased by missions like Gemini. In practicing, we'll gain experience in measuring angles, distances, and relative velocities, and in determining the changes needed to attain specific trajectories. From actual experience, we may be able to make improvements in future systems that we cannot now foresee or predict. Systems development in our most ambitious project to date, the Apollo moon flight, is well underway. The guidance and navigation station aboard the Apollo is equipped with a scanning telescope, a sextant, a digital computer, and an inertial measurement unit. Attitude and guidance controls can be operated directly by the navigator or automatically by the computer at the direction of the navigator. This complete system permits all navigation for the lunar journey to be performed on board, independent of Earth-based tracking or computing facilities if necessary. The navigator will make repeated sightings to confirm his position and trajectory. However, throughout the entire lunar trip, he will
a digital
have
computer.
Earth-based tracking
It was the first
information
spacecraft
available
ever
for use
with
in his
one.
own computer.
It was actually one of the first digital computers to not be the size of a freaking closet.
This is how the onboard equipment works.
Yep.
The line of sight of the scanning telescope is fixed to the spacecraft. Looking through this scope, the navigator acquires the Earth and a selected star. He maneuvers the spacecraft until the Earth landmark is centered at 0.
Oh, this is freaking rad, dude.
Rotation of the telescope reticle till it falls across the star also turns the sextant. He notes the angle of the star and sets the sextant at that angle. Now, looking through the sextant, both images will appear enlarged and superimposed. When they are lined up, he pushes the mark button.
Mark!
This feeds the precise
Who's
time and
Mark?
angle information into the computer. The computer also receives Earth-based tracking data, which when combined with the observed data, keeps the navigator informed of his current position
Oh, he's Roger's
and
buddy.
actual
Okay.
trajectory. The navigator instructs the computer to make the necessary trajectory correction. It determines the exact amount and direction of thrust needed to accomplish this correction. The inertial measurement unit furnishes a sense of direction to the computer, enabling the spacecraft to be correctly oriented. The rocket is fired. The inertial measurement unit measures the acceleration, feeding this data to the computer. When the desired speed change is accomplished, the computer cuts off the engine, and now the spacecraft is on its corrected course.
Nice girl. It's
More
Will's
than one
brother, but they
correction
keep
may be
firing
needed.
him? Fire at Will. I don't know what he did.
As the moon is approached, sextant readings will be made between known lunar landmarks and appropriate stars to determine the final course correction.
And they did all this. And
Both onboard and Earth-based computers determine independently what maneuver is required to place the Apollo craft into a lunar orbit. The familiar landmark tracking technique is then used to confirm the parking orbit, putting man for the first time in a position to land on extraterrestrial ground.
hell yeah.
The navigational experience gained in the Apollo program will contribute information needed for trips of greater complexity.
I wish.
For man is not content unless he's pressing himself to the limits of his knowledge or beyond.
That last line though. Did you hear that? I agree.
The navigational experience gained in the Apollo program will contribute information needed for trips of greater complexity.
This next one.
For man is not content unless he's pressing himself to the limits of his knowledge or beyond.
You're damn right. Let's go. That's right. If you're not challenging yourself, no one's gonna do it for you. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because they're hard. I believe this nation should commit itself, before this decade is out, of sending a man to the surface of the moon and returning him safely to the earth. Are you telling me the missile knows where it is because of math? Well, magnets help. How do they work? Don't ask. I don't know. My kids can be a challenge, a real challenge to get them to school on time. Nice. Yeah, you gotta get the high score. Did I miss any space news? On the contrary, space news has just started. So let's get some links transferred over here. Welcome to Space News, everybody. First space news back from COVID 4th of July celebration. EJ feeling like a pile of dog poop here. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, let's go over here like this, go over here like this, go over here like this, over here like this, over here like that. Take that right there, move that right there. Give me 2 of those, give me 6 of those. Oh, this is the worst looking hat I ever saw. You buy a hat like this, I suppose you get a free bowl of soup, huh? Oh, it looks good on you, though. Happy late 5th of July, thank you. Oh, we got Zay's cursed rockets. Yeah, direct. Not a bad idea. Direct, I don't mind direct, Zay. My thing about direct is direct should have been implemented with the shuttle program. Like at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, that should have been implemented like at the same time. It should have been developed with it, along with the RS-68. But yeah, that's just opinion. Okay, we need to go here. I'll take 2 number 9s. Number 9 large.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
2 number 6s with extra dip. Okay, that's gonna go in there like that. All right, Zay, let's start off with your cursed rocket pictures. Let's see. Oh, yep. Hey, Gabe. 83-month resub. Patki! You remember that? It was fun sharing that crazy race with everyone in Discord. More races like that, please. Literally one of the best Formula 1 races I've ever watched. Ever. Why is your ML floating off the ground? Ugh. Freaking direct, dude. They had the engine configured. They had them spaced out because of heating, if I'm remembering right. The turbo took a second to spool. Is it bad that I don't hate it? Direct was a good idea. No. Direct was a good call. That would have been smart because direct uses the external tank. It's just an external tank with engines on the bottom and a flat top. That's it. That's the only difference. Oh. Quite nice. Quite. Yeah, this is direct rocket. Direct is not a bad idea. It's taking a bunch of ideas from the space shuttle, the external tank, and Delta IV and putting it all together. So these would have been RS-68s if I'm remembering this correctly. And that's why they have a wonky engine configuration. That's why, because they're spaced out to be the furthest away from the SRBs, and also to be far away from each other so the RS-68s don't melt each other on the outside. So this is just an external tank. It's just a regular shuttle external tank with an engine section attached to the bottom. It's not like SLS. SLS is a reinforced external tank. They really had to make this thing a lot stronger. But because of the 5-segment SRBs, 4 shuttle engines, etc., they opted for the beefier version. SLS is basically Ares 5 with no Ares 5 upper stage. Now, the more and more I see it, and the more I look at it, it's basically Ares 5. It's Ares 5 with 4 shuttle engines and no EDS. There's no Earth departure stage on top. But we're working on that. Direct, on the other hand, is just a shuttle external tank with standard shuttle boosters. So you didn't need to do that reinforcement thing. So this was an option for something to replace Constellation. It's not a bad idea. You could launch with 1 engine here and just a payload fairing, or you could launch with 2, 3, or 4. Or no, 1, 2, or 3, if I'm remembering right. And then you know, they were going to build a better upper stage for it, etc. Not a bad idea. I don't know. I kind of like Ares 5, Ares 1 better than Direct. But SLS replaced all of this. There are RS-25s? Yeah. I should have used RS-68s. I still think that, I mean, they didn't do it. What's the reason they didn't do Direct? Because we didn't have the money. So, yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, I don't want to get into that too much today. What I do want to get into is this. I need my coffee. Katra, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but So this was a shot from the SF-12 mission last week. That's a payload payload HVAC umbilical. So it's the air conditioning for the fairing. Yeah, see, it pops out, and the toilet bowl shuts. That's the Centaur payload fairing vent. Conic ISA, Atlas CCB, 4 boosters, and a bunch of fire coming out the bottom. Yes. So Tori Bruno posted this. Not a bad camera angle, if I do say so myself. You know what's crazy? You know what's nuts to me? You know in Kerbal how stuff wobbles around? Stuff weeble wobbles around in Kerbal, right? Like that happens all the time. That doesn't happen in real life, right? Right? Watch the ML. Watch this thing. Stuff weebles wobble. It weeble wobbles in real life. It weeble wobbles a lot. You just don't notice. See? Look at those 2 towers moving around. It's the fairing vent. It's the LH2 fairing vent, Corsi. Yeah, LH2. Because the Centaur, remember, the Centaur is riding inside. Centaur is riding inside here. So, see where this line is? There's the top of the Centaur is basically where this line is. And then where the payload fairing is, well, that's where the 2 satellites are stacked. The top of the Centaur is right here. What's at the top of the Centaur? Hydrogen. That's the hydrogen vent. A hydrogen vent. It's a has-gas vent, basically. And that actually, see the ice on it? That's a dead giveaway. There's a lot of ice just accumulated up on that thing. It's for venting hydrogen, not hydrogen directly out of the tanks. It's designed for venting hydrogen underneath the forward load reactor, the CFLR, Centaur forward load reactor, because in Atlas V's design, with the 500 series fairing, so the 5-meter fairing, Centaur, the fairing is actually holding the front of Centaur up. There's a forward load reactor up here, or CFLR. The Centaur forward load reactor is, well, as the name implies, it is a load reactor. It's reacting to the loads that are put on Centaur from launch. Basically, it's a strut that holds the top of the stage inside of the fairing correctly. So there's a bulkhead right here, basically. So hydrogen, because hydrogen is hydrogen, it goes everywhere you do not want it to go. It pools underneath the CFLR. And yeah, they got to vent. They have to vent that has-gas out because you do not want hydrogen pooling inside of your fairing. If it finds a source of ignition, and it'll explode. Hydrogen's very efficient at blowing up. It blows up really, really efficiently. Meaning if it finds a spark, it's going to blow up, and it's going to blow up big. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not using hydrogen down here. There's just hydrogen in the second stage, but that's the vent. That's the vent for it. I'm telling you, though, the vent line and everything's cool, but my favorite thing is seeing the load reactor, or not the load reactor, seeing the launch umbilical, the mobile launcher move around. Look at it. Look at it now. Let me speed up the footage. Look at that thing. That thing's weeble wobbling all over the place. Those things are 20 stories tall almost. Look at that thing wobble around. You wouldn't think that, you think that this thing, it's nice and strong because it's rocket launches. Nope, no, it's moving around. Under acceleration, wouldn't it pool at the top of the fairing? Still dangerous. Well, there's the Centaur forward load reactor. Okay, all right. Centaur forward load reactor. It's a bulkhead, basically. See? The CFLR is 2 C shapes right there. So hydrogen can get stuck in there. Don't get me wrong, there are vents on the fairing. You saw one where the umbilical separated. Yeah, that's for in case it gets stuck. Because it can get stuck right there. See, there's another. Wow, that's actually a really crazy shot. This was inside. This is a vacuum chamber test, but see, there's the forward load reactor. Note that the fairing has the insulative materials, these things, in front of the FLR and not below it because There's no payload down there. There's just Centaur. Pretty cool, huh? Does that vent break off on launch? The little thing on the side? No, it's just stays on the fairing. And then it separates when the fairing pops off. It just goes with one of the segments, that's all. Yep. Oh, wow. Dude, I didn't even know that this footage was floating around. Look at this thing. Look at that. They were testing fairing separation on Atlas. That's a fairing sep test for Atlas. Inside of the Plumbrook vacuum chamber. One of the biggest vacuum chambers in the world. Look at that thing. It's a concrete dome because that's the only thing that won't implode. Wow. Crazy. Okay, so that's a pretty cool shot of Atlas 541. That's the last version, the last time you're ever going to see a 541 launch. If you missed that one, well, you're never seeing a 4 SRM version of Atlas 5 ever launch again. Yep, 541, last time you'll ever see that one launch. It is marking the beginning of the end for Atlas, but we got better stuff coming in the pipe anyway. We got better stuff. Better stuff will be coming in the pipe, like Vulcan. Vulcan, for instance, which will launch off the same pad, believe it or not. Vulcan rolls down this thing over here. See that building down there? That's where Vulcan's built, and then it'll roll down here, and then it can roll in there too. This can make Vulcans, and then that building down there can make Vulcans as well. There's another mobile launcher. There's another one of these things in there. No, of course, but that's cool. I want Atlas Heavy. Yeah, we all do. Anyway, big news coming today. This news was actually released while we were streaming Kerbal. NASA Ames popped out with a mission update. The Capstone mission, the mission that was launched on Rocket Lab's Electron, out to the moon to go and pathfind out Gateway, the orbit that Gateway is going to go in. This is basically a Pathfinder satellite. It's going to go out and find the right orbit for Gateway to be in. Had a communications blackout. They lost communications with it yesterday. But NASA Ames is reporting, and once again, this is hot off the press. This was just this afternoon. Or, well, basically right when we started streaming. They do have connection reestablished to Capstone. So they did lose connection with the Capstone mission for a moment, which was it's coasting out to the moon right now. But they did get communications back, which is good. That's very good. Yeah, Capstone is basically regarded as the first Artemis mission. Capstone is a part of the Commercial Lunar Payload Services program, which is a subset of the Artemis program. CLPS is basically a bunch of smaller payloads that are going to go and scout out things like where Gateway should end up, and like that's what the Capstone mission is. And then there's another CLPS mission called Viper. Viper is going to prospect for resources on the moon, on the lunar south pole. And then there's a Peregrine later. There's a bunch of CLPS missions. They're basically the precursor missions to the Artemis crew flights which should be coming later in this decade. Knock on wood. So, yeah, Capstone is it's basically the first Artemis mission. It's the first CLPS mission. Whoa, jeez, Novus knows. All right, what is all this? Some A4 hardware. Losing communications like that doesn't inspire confidence. You and I both know they're going to have a whole investigation to figure out what happened. I mean, when the mission is on, yeah, I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll find something out, but I don't know about an investigation. But when you, Signer, you got to understand that most of the time where I'm like, oh, there's going to be an investigation into this behavior, that is more of during testing. That's the kind of stuff that happens more during testing. But I mean, I'm sure it would help to understand why it did that. Pretty damn sure, you know. We got some pictures from Artemis 4. Let me transfer all these links over. Hello. Hello. Okay. Alright, I got that for spaceships. Do we have that posted there? I have that posted there. And capstone. Alright, cool. So, they did regain communications with capstone, so that's good. Now, let's see. What else do we got? Let's move that over there. We'll move that over here. I'll move that over there. I gotta do this stuff on the fly here. Alright, we can get rid of that. There we go. Alright, so some news coming from Dutch Space here. Take a look. Dutch Space is the guy that's working he works for the ESA. Check this out. There's the first upgraded Vega rocket, the ESA's Vega rocket called Vega C, with the upgraded first stage and bigger payload fairing. You can see it kind of looks balloon shaped right there. Vega C is now launching on July 13th at 13:13 Central European Standard Time. So that's a week. 13:13:13. And Vega post-COVID doesn't have the best track record. So, you know, that's good. That's good. Nah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah. Do you think several passes through the Van Allen belts screwed with the communication systems? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I thought I heard through the grapevine, Phil, that it got hit with a solar flare or something. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, skirting the Van Halen belts like that, you know. It's pretty metal. What? Hey, Eddie will live forever, okay? Alright, so the next bit here is coming from Virgin Galactic. We haven't heard much of anything from them since their first test flight. Apparently their first test flight didn't go as well as we were led to believe. Amongst other things, last year when they were doing a test flight, they did fly outside of their temporary flight restriction and basically started flying that experimental spaceship when it was coming back down over populated areas, which is, yeah, that's a no-no. Yeah, the FAA went over to them and say, hey, it's your friend, the FAA. We told you not to fly there, but, but you flew there anyway. I know we said, you know, don't fly over there. You know, we didn't just say it for our health, you know. So, you know, maybe you shouldn't be flying right now if you're not willing to listen to us. And Virgin Galactic said, wait, what are you talking about? Hey, you know, we just flew out of the boundary just a little bit, right? That's fine, right? And the FAA said, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're grounded. Yeah, they did that. Interesting, right? Apparently, though, there were other things other than the TFR. Apparently, the motherships were having some problems. They have some structural problems, and it looks like Virgin Galactic did rush to try and beat Blue Origin into space, but that's just speculation. But also at the same time, this popped up on their website today. Virgin Galactic selects Boeing subsidiary Aurora to build new motherships. First new mothership is expected to enter service in 2025. An aerospace and space travel company announced that they've reached an agreement with Aurora Flight Sciences, aka Aurora, a Boeing company, to partner in the design and manufacture of the company's next generation motherships. The mothership is the air launch carrier aircraft in Virgin Galactic space flight system. It carries the spaceship to a release altitude of approximately 50,000 feet. Virgin Galactic has been working with Aurora for past several months to develop design specifications as well as resource and requirements in preparation for this long-term project. The 2-vehicle contract announced today will enable Aurora to immediately begin development. Interesting. Virgin Galactic CEO Michael Koglazier said, "Our next-generation motherships are integral to scaling operations. They will be faster to produce, easier to maintain, and will allow us to fly substantially more missions each year. Supported by the scale and strength of Boeing, Aurora is the ideal manufacturing partner for us as we build our fleet to support 400 flights per year at Spaceport America." Okay, so it looks like, you know what this tells me? This tells me that they, whatever problems they had figured out, or if they're starting to toss out contracts for more airplanes, this tells me that whatever problems they had, they've figured out. And hopefully they've got stuff sorted with the FAA. 400 flights per year, though. Man, that part of New Mexico is going to see some serious action. Aurora plans to manufacture the aircraft at its Columbus, Mississippi and Bridgeport, West Virginia facilities. Final assembly of the motherships will be completed at Virgin Galactic's facility in Mojave? I know it's Mojave. It's a joke. Relax. What's real estate go for out that way? That part of New Mexico is a little barren. Aldazert, you know, I was just there. There is not a lot of anything out there. I think it was like 50 acres for like 13 grand or something. Seriously, there is nothing out there. So it's near TOC. There's Spaceport America. So this is the Rio Grande over here. That's the Rio Grande Valley, and that goes all the way down to El Paso. See? El Paso. Actually, we're really close to El Paso there. And then that river ends in Boca Chica over here, where SpaceX is launching from. Funny story. But if we go back up here, there ain't much out there, dudes. There's really whole lot of nothing. I'm Mark Graves, that past Terlingua. Yeah, there's White Sands. So, yeah, it's between Las Cruces and Truth or Consequences. There, like I said, there is not a mooch out there. Here, let's see if we can street view it up. I'll show you where we were driving around. Take a look. I don't need, dude, do they even have street view? There's no street view. Do we even, is there, really? There's nothing? No street view? Oh, there's street view over here. Whole lot of sunburn, that's what. Yeah. Yep. Wow, this is an old picture. Cattle guard. Yep. There's a whole lot of nothing for miles. I saw the 360 dots, yeah, over at the spaceport. And then if we go back down, yeah, 400 flights per year, man. Go back down here, the mock-up should be over here. Yep, there's the mock-up. Look, the Roadrunner and the Coyote, yeah, right? And then there's just this crazy, awesome, ridiculous hangar out here. Yeah, that's a hangar. See this? Those are hangar doors, which is pretty nuts, actually. And then, yeah, the spacecraft goes out here, and then there's the fire station over there. We didn't get a chance to see all that, but yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's a big runway. It's a 10,000 foot runway. It's just kind of sitting there. Yep, that's where they're going to go from. But that's cool that they're building more. And then they said that they're going to build... Final manufacture should be at Mojave, which is over here. There's Edwards. There's Lank. Mojave is over here. There we go. I think Virgin's facilities are down here, near Stratolaunch. One of these is Stratolaunch. The other one is Virgin Galactic. The other one is Virgin Orbit. Mojave is an interesting airport because out in the desert they end up storing a bunch of stuff out here. There's always a bunch of crazy stuff sitting on the tarmac in Mojave, like those F-100s. There's an F-100 Super Sabre right there. I'm not sure what that one is. F-11 maybe? There's those things. And then there's another F-100. And then there's a, what is that, an MD-11? Yeah, MD-11. DC-10, MD-11, something like that. Like I said, there's always a bunch of weird stuff just sitting out at Mojave. Like, yeah, what do we got in here? What do we got in here? T-38? Or what's left of one. A340 maybe? I don't know. What could be a Convair? 747s. Look at all of them. Oh, a 990. Yeah, I always forget that that's there. There's a Convair 990, man. That's a cool plane. You guys are looking at the third fastest airliner in existence. Right there. The blisters on the wings are a dead giveaway. The only things that go faster than that plane right there are the Concorde and the Tupolev 144. True story. Yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff out here. I could spend all day looking at this. Looks like C-123s right there. Convair 990, look it up. Yeah, oh, dude, airplane junkyard. Airplane junkyard. Oh, man, I would have fun in here. What's that black one? Which one? That's a Swedish jet. I forget the name of it though. It's a Viggen. Viggen? Yeah. Yeah, it's just chilling. There's, like I said, there's always cool stuff out here. You always find cool stuff in Mojave. Dude, this is just looking at it on Google Earth. Freshly paved runway. Yeah, freshly rebuilt. I wonder what's going on over here. Wind turbine parts. Look at that. Look at the turbine blades. Cool. And then you know what's really cool? If you look at Southern California, look out here. There's crazy test tracks. Now, believe it or not, this is not their automotive test tracks. These are not like government or anything. This is like Honda and Ford and a bunch of other people have these test tracks out here in the middle of the desert, which is really, really interesting. They use it for, guess what? They use it for testing cars. I know. Funny how that works. Because this looks like you're relatively near civilization, but I assure you there is nothing out there. Yes, 251, sure. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out here. There's California City, and then there should be more test tracks out here somewhere. Yep. See? That's right next to where the Friends of Amateur Rocketry, where you launch liquids, are. Cool. And then, if you want to look down at Edwards, there's all kinds of fun stuff at Edwards, but I like looking over here. See all this stuff? Test stands. Old test stands. They did a lot of rocketry testing here for the Apollo program. See all the test stands? Pretty cool, huh? And then, I hate showing this one. If we go down here, there's more testing equipment. And then if you get to the very, very end, there's the test stand. If anybody doesn't know what this is, that's the pad for X-33 that was built and fully completed and then never used. Because I hate my life. And actually, no, there is another test stand over here. I forget which test stand this one is. I think this... Here, let's see if Google Earth community will shed some light onto which test stand this is. That's a big one, man. I just don't know which one it is. I think that might have been the one where they tested F1 engines. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. There's a bunch of rocket testing equipment out here. Bunch of rocket test stands, bunch of rocket test pads out on the range at Edwards. Oh, there's a running track. That's nice. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So that's cool that Virgin Galactic is doing that. Anyway, we do have some pictures coming from Michoud here of Artemis 4 hardware. That looks like the A4. That looks like Artemis 4's engine section, if I'm looking at this right. There's going to be shuttle engines mounted down here. I'm still calling them shuttle engines, man. I don't care what you say. Rocket Lab is going to do a rapid launch for the NRO. Cool. I'll check that out in a moment. Yeah, there's the ISO grid. Friction stir welded aluminum ISO grid. That's nice. Yeah, it's crazy how thin it is. Yeah. Look at that. Nice. Artemis 4 flight hardware. Pretty freaking cool. Alright, what's this next Rocket Lab news? Those are great pictures, Novus. Sweet. We're back to back with 2 responsive launches for the National Reconnaissance Office, launching within days of each other. 2 Electrons will deliver national security payloads to space from LC-1 in July. That's why they built a second pad. Artemis 4 will use the EUS tentatively, or Ordon, yeah. Tentatively. Does this picture hurt your eyes at all? Kind of hurts my eyes. Tilt shift? I don't think this is tilt shift. I think this is blurred out on purpose. Either way, though, Mecanum wheels. Cool. So that's pretty sweet. So, anything else? Oh yeah, there's other things. Check this out. This is coming from Nick and Sweeney. He's one of the photographers and one of the guys that videos the NSF vids that we'll watch in a second here. But just here, oh, Ship 24. They painted her. Look at they painted it. They painted paint on it. It looks strange. Hey, Procyon, what's going on? Yeah, they painted S24 and an X logo on it. We should be seeing a static fire from this sooner rather than later, but here, let's look at some of Nick's pictures. See? It's very interesting. I think this is really strange because they painted... The tiles only go to right there, and then they painted like a defining line right there, which is... It's probably some form of ablative paint. I don't know, man. I don't think so. I think they just painted that to look nice. The S24 does look really cool, though. The S24 and the X logo. But this, we have venting on Starbase Live. Cool. Looks better from far away anyway. Dude, all I can think of is... the Buran orbiter that was sitting at the Russian airbase at angles for a long time. And it was like halfway finished, right? And then they were sick of looking at it like this, so what they did was they painted it. And they painted directly over the tiles. I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it, dudes. Because they were sick of looking at it in pieces, so they just paint over whatever, it's fine. I can't unsee it, man. I can't unsee it. You see, because when they were assembling the orbiter, they weren't finished putting all the tiles on, so it looked like this for the longest time, and now, and then they did that, and they just kill me. It's just, oh, gross. Now, all I see when I look at that is just the same thing. It's like, I guess that looks cool. I guess. What are the tiles under the SpaceX logo? I don't know. I don't know what those are. I don't think they're tiles, to be honest. They didn't have to paint it like that. They could have just left the tiles. The tiles look good. Maybe some antennas or something. Radio sensors? Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure what those are. Looks cool, though. I love the S24. I think S24 looks cool. And if you kind of just look at this picture from a little ways back, it does look nice. But then when you zoom in and you look at it, it's like, oh, come on, man. Oh, that's all I ever see is that. That poor shuttle. That poor shuttle. Why?
Discovery. Go and throttle up.
Vasia with the 40-month resub. Yo, 40 already. Thanks, man. Why? Why did SpaceX do a Buran? Why? Don't do that. Just leave. That doesn't look good at all. Oh my goodness. Why? That didn't help at all. Whatever. I can't look at it. I can't. Stop. But see, you can really see it in this shot. Look. Oh, man. I thought that looked good the way that it was. Either way, Ship 24 is on the test stand right now, but it's on suborbital pad A. Oh, that picture from Nick, though. Got that high dynamic range cranked up. Hello. That does look pretty damn aesthetic. Link for this picture, please. I won't link the picture, but I'll link you Nick's Twitter. Go and see what he's up to over there. Damn. Ah, yes. Pontifex. Yep. Popex. Yep. Popex. Okay. Yep, there's that. Oh, these aren't from Nick, those are from Coop. RTLS Pope! Hello. Very nice. See last, giving positivity. Maybe it's for science. If the paint gets heat marks, then more tiles are needed. Yeah. I'm really hoping that that's what that's for, because this Anyway, Greg Scott did a flyover today. Here, check this out. Let's see what some of his pictures are about here. He did a flyover. This is 39A. So this is well, Roberts Road and 39A. Once again, these pictures are from Greg Scott. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Hello. So, the chopsticks are getting finished pretty damn quick. And these are also rafters for, those are roof rafters for a building, for a big building, a warehouse variety building. Oh. Yeah. 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, I think? Or, no, the third one's already gone. So it had to have been 1, 2, 5, 3, 4. There's supposed to be 9 of these things. There's 3 at the pad and 4 at Roberts Road right now, which is pretty nuts. There's, oh, look at that. They're doing up the high bay. Yeah, but when table? The launch table? The launch table isn't being built here. The launch table is being built somewhere else. Hands where we could see them. No. Actually, I could say where they are. It's pretty public knowledge at this point. So if you go and look at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station here, right? Let's shut off Google Earth Community. So look at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. You have Hangar M, I think. So Hangar M right there, right? Pretty unassuming, right? Except you notice that Hangar M has the Falcon 9 transporter sitting in front of it. Oh. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that SpaceX is operating out of this hangar. I think that's a pretty easy thing to surmise, judging by this picture. So if we just zap around a little bit. Oh. Gee, I wonder what those are. This was in January of this year. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that we know where the orbital launch mount is being built. Oh, hi. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that we know where that's going on. Also, there's an Elon tent right there, so obviously. Yeah. Yep. I think it's pretty safe to say what's going on here. Look at them next to the van. Yeah, they're freaking gigantic, dude. Yeah, I know. And they're also absurdly heavy. It's almost like it's designed to hold up something called super heavy or something. Am I right? I think it's pretty safe to say that SpaceX is operating out of that hangar, and that's where the table's being built, Vasia, because we haven't. It's not being built at Roberts Road, but yeah, look at that. Unbelievable, huh? And at Roberts Road, you have the chopsticks and the cart and everything being built, and it is coming together. They are coming together very quick. It's coming together extremely fast, which is crazy. And once again, these pictures are coming from Greg Scott here. Is it just me, or do those chopsticks look shorter? Oh no, the extender pieces are right there. Okay, got it. Thanks for the info. Of course, man. See, there's more space frame stuff over here. That looks too small to be the chopsticks, though. I wonder what... That must be the quick disconnect. That must be parts of the QD over there. There's the Mechazilla track shuttle thing. And then the chops are right there. No, that's 2 of them. They're in mirror symmetry, though. Nice. And then the rest of this just looks like... Yeah, they started assembling the rafters for the factory. Look, see? Crane Brothers. Nice. What other pictures from Greg do we have? Yeah. Yeah, and here's 39A. Take a look at this. They already got 3 segments stacked, and they have a lever 11350 over there. That's the same crane that they... Not the same crane, but it's the same model number of crane that was used in Boca Chica. That's not the same one, though. It's the same style, though. I still haven't figured out what the heck this thing is for. There's this huge octagonal structure being built here, and I still don't know what it is. It's the same crane that did the Blue Origin pad. Cool. I wonder if they will completely forego the QD gravity arms that were removed from Boca. Yeah, I'm not sure. Bossy, it's very interesting. SpaceX clearly found something wrong with those things, even though they worked. I guess they didn't work to their liking, because after they did that one stack that one time, they were like, yeah, no, we don't need this. Suborbital pad, maybe for testing ships? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that thing is. Very interesting. There's Falcon 9's TE getting ready for another mission. They're going to move it inside of here and put a Falcon 9 on that thing. Ah, yes, this is the one I wanted to see. Here, let's take a look. Anything being built back here? No, it doesn't look like it. But it's interesting to note that there is another couple of cranes over here. There's another Liebherr crane with twin jibs right here. And it's building something. I'm just not sure what it's building. But oh, the Roomba got stuck. I was like, who's talking? I wonder what they're building over there. It's hard to say, but this crane has been out there for a little while. I think they might be working on the vehicle or the vertical integration facility that's going to go on 39. When is the first NSSL Falcon Heavy launch? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have a lot of questions here. We'll find it in due time. But yeah, my biggest question is, what's that octagonal thing? What's this structure right here? And what is this second crane doing? Every time I've seen a picture get taken of this crane, it's just sitting there. This is the stowed position. They bring the boom down to the ground when they're not using it, but it's being used for something. That's called a fly. This? I think the water tower is there. I'm hearing they are doing a new one. Oh. Interesting. That's the water tower? Okay, maybe. Interesting. Either way, great pictures from Greg. Here, let me link up Greg's Twitter on here. So that's what's going on down at Roberts Road. Let's take a look over here. This is coming from Christian Davenport. As SpaceX gets closer to the Starship orbital launch attempt, the FAA says in a statement to the Washington Post that it will make a license determination only after SpaceX provides all outstanding information and the agency can fully analyze it. Okay. So in other news, the FAA isn't going to give them a launch license until SpaceX describes what they're going to launch. Thanks for the update. Okay. Why is water stored in towers anyway, like in the past and now? It's a really easy way to make pressure using Archimedes' principle. You pump a little bit of water up there at a time, and then it only gets used when people are using the water. And when people are using the water, you can create water pressure because gravity is forcing the water down the pipe in the water tower. And that can make it so when you turn your faucet on, water comes out at pressure because, yeah, it's up in a water tower. That's why water towers are usually up on hills. whenever they can be. They're in the highest spot. And they look cool. It's pretty smart. It's just Archimedes' principle, dude. That's like basics of the basic physics, dude. They figured that out 6,000 years ago. No need for a super powerful pump. All you need is a little pump that just pours water in the top every once in a while. Bingo. And then gravity is the pump. Water towers use the potential energy of water being stored at higher altitude than than everything else to make water pressure. Yep. The Romans were using that. Well, Romans were using that, what, 2,000 years ago. Here, look, I'll show you. Rome built all kinds of aqueducts and stuff. The Romans, here, take a look. See? They used the exact same thing, only they used the reservoirs up in the mountains. And then they made aqueducts that flowed into the cities that were in the lower areas. Now, this doesn't look like that big of a deal, right? It's like, oh, okay. That's pretty cool that they figured this out. And then you realize that those aqueducts run for hundreds of miles. Yeah, they were tapping in water for Rome from everywhere, like all over the place. Those aqueducts go a long way out of the city. And then you realize that they were doing this with no construction equipment. With no excavators, no bulldozers, no cranes. And then you go, yeah, that's a little complicated. Do many still exist? Not only do some of them still exist, Rib, some of them still work. Think about the engineering that you need to grade water like this. In order for this whole system to work, this needs to be at a steady grade the entire time to make water pressure. That needs to be at a steady grade. I mean, modern aqueducts, they figured out you don't need to do that whole bridge thing, but that's another story. Yeah, Jack, the water tower would be drained very quickly. With like a less than 1% grade the entire way. Think about how difficult that actually is to do. Is that crazy or what? And like these structures are not a joke. Look. They're not only are some of them still standing, some of them still freaking work. And look, distribution tanks. I believe the Romans used cisterns. They used cisterns for their water towers, so to speak. Like these. Dude. They had that stuff figured out, man. It's pretty damn impressive for that long ago. It's really like this is hardcore engineering by today's standards. Like building something like this would be tough by modern standards. That would be really hard to do. Let alone grade it correctly, get all the supports right, concrete. Like, these guys were using modern construction techniques 2,000 years ago. Well, modern construction techniques, or modern at the time. Crazy, right? Yep. I don't even think they did that way, man. They had no construction equipment, which is unbelievable. Yeah, Riv, they were doing this. Like I said, Archimedes wasn't Roman. Archimedes was Greek. Let me see. Yep, Roman cisterns still work. Still works to this day, dude. Look at that, the Basilica Cistern. Unbelievable. It's wild, dude. That's such hardcore engineering for that. I mean, for that long ago, that's pretty damn impressive. And this is why I like Roman stuff and Greek stuff. Man, these guys were way ahead of their times. I know those are two different civilizations. I understand it. The Romans absorbed the Greeks in sometime in o'clock. Yep. The Cistern Cafe. Jeez. Yeah, frickin' thing still works. I mean, it's just gravity. There's nothing saying that it can't work. Yeah, modern cisterns. Man, did they get that right or what? It's pretty damn impressive. Sideways Medusa head. What the hell's that about? Okay, little bit of a detour. Oh, this is Constantinople. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Okay. There's one in Rome that still works. Roman cistern? Oh, list of Roman cisterns. Yeah. No explosives for tunneling, all hand tools. Dude, it's hardcore. It's freaking ridiculous, man. Unbelievable. Yeah, water physics. They haven't changed in 2,000 years, to be honest with you. And the physics doesn't really change. But still, it's damn impressive because some of these aqueducts, like I said, run hundreds of miles. Unbelievable. And it's all graded. It's graded at less than a 1% grade over hundreds of miles. That's really impressive. That's pretty freaking cool. You remember how hard it was when we were playing Railroads Online to get that grade correct? That was with a computer helping me build the damn tracks. These guys were doing it in real life. Hundreds of miles. Just, yeah, that's pretty damn impressive. Kind of makes you want to play Railroads, yeah. Yep. Ropes and sticks and whatnot. It's unbelievable. And once again, the fact that some of them still even work is just, alright. Anyway, back to space stuff. Hey Manatee, what's going on? Wonder if there are any rockets made in Roman times. No. Rockets... No, not really. The Greeks made a flamethrower. If that helps. They made flamethrowers. Turns out that, you know, you don't need to worry about the other guy's ship when it's made out of wood and you light it on fire. Yeah. Actually, Rivian, you want to hear something? You want to hear something pretty crazy? As long as we're talking about, you know, like water systems. You know the Colosseum, right? So, if you want to hear something absolutely insane about the Colosseum, right? You want to get into some history here. So take a look. Here's a cross section of the Colosseum. All right, take a look at it. Look at the floor. You guys think the Colosseum is just built on some sand, right? And it's got a sand interior. False. Nope. Nope. Colosseum has a false floor. It has a false floor. The entire battleground for the Colosseum was on a false floor. It was sand on a false floor. Anybody know why? Why would they make the center of this out of wood? Nope. Chuck Testa. Some of you guys know. Some of you guys know. They made this out of a false floor because this false floor could be removed. Why did they make it out of wood? They clearly have mastered stonework. Why would that be wood? It's wood so it can be removed. The Colosseum could turn into a gigantic swimming pool. And the Romans, once or twice, used it to recreate naval battles. True story. Yeah, pretty crazy. How's that for civil engineering? They were doing that pretty much about 2,200 years ago, something like that, 2,100 years ago. Yeah, it's got a false floor. The Colosseum, they can take the floor out and they can flood it, and it becomes a gigantic swimming pool. And they used it to recreate famous naval battles. Yeah. How's that for good engineering? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for 2,000 years ago, man. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, we do that at the Garden. We can take it and make it a damn hockey rink or a basketball court. That sucks compared to that. Are you kidding me? That sucks. This would be like if you could take the Boston Garden and make it a hockey rink, basketball court, or an Olympic swimming pool. It'd be cool to see a recreation of it. Yeah. How'd they get the water out? Do they have a giant plug underneath? Yes. It would be cool to see a recreation of it. How did we go from this to medieval times? That's a good question. Well, so, alright, I'm going to give you the condensed version, and this might not be 100% right, so forgive me if I'm wrong. Or I miss a couple of details here and there. Long story short, the Roman Empire, right around 2,000 years ago, it was a republic. And what happened is it's funny because Star Wars is, if this story sounds familiar, Star Wars is a parody of this. Basically, the people that were representing different parts of the Roman Republic got lazy. It got complacent. It got very decadent, right? It got super freaking decadent, and what happened with Rome is, long story short, they became a dictatorship. It became the Roman Empire when Caesar decided he was done with this. The whole system was corrupt from the core up because everybody got complacent. Nobody felt like representing anybody. The whole system crumbled from the inside out. Very similar to what Star Wars, like I said, Star Wars tells the story of Rome. It's true. And then it became an empire, and the empire, just like most empires, just like the empire in Star Wars, it lasted, but yeah, didn't last a lot. It turns out when you rule via dictatorship like that, people don't really like it. Yeah. Some emperors were good, some emperors were not. And what ended up happening to Rome, Germanic tribes from the north, what would become the Holy Roman Empire later, Germanic tribes from the north basically didn't like Rome because they treated him like trash, right? So Rome basically grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and there was only so much you could oversee. They basically stretched way too thin, and the Germanic tribes started cutting off Roman territory and claiming it for their own, and eventually they ended up sacking Rome in like 400 AD or something, 500 AD or something like that. 486, thank you. And what happened is that the Roman Empire split. They split the Roman Empire. because they couldn't control basically any of Europe. They couldn't do it anymore, so the Roman Empire moved east. It moved east and became the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire operated out of Constantinople. And that's the Eastern Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire collapsed in 486, basically. It collapsed and it just became a bunch of warring city-states, and that's basically how it stayed. That's basically how it stayed until, like, the Renaissance. Yeah. Oops. The damn Germans. No. Catholicism took over. By the time the Byzantine Empire came around, not Catholicism, Christianity took over. It wasn't just Catholicism. And yeah, they abandoned all the pagan stuff, and then after the Western Roman Empire collapsed, it became the Holy Roman Empire after that, and yeah, the Middle Ages from there. Yeah. 476, was it? 486, 470, somewhere around there, yeah. And when Rome fell, all of that knowledge just basically got scattered to the wind, which really sucks. Fast forward 1,000 years. Yes, 1,000 years. Yeah, it's basically warring city-states throughout the Middle Ages, guys. Like kingdoms and castles, and that's where all that stuff is from. Fast forward to 1500 AD. Basically, a bunch of people got fed up with that crap. They got fed up with poverty and this just feudal nonsense, right? So yeah, they decided they didn't want. This is, and once again, this is the super condensed version, fellas. A bunch of people decided they didn't want to do that anymore. Leonardo da Vinci, yeah, Michelangelo, those guys. So that they decided they wanted to get back to doing things the Roman way, right? So that whole period of time from like 1500 to like 1600, 1700 is the Renaissance. The Renaissance and relearning all this stuff, relearning how to be masters of our own domain, not just feudal, fight with swords. Humanity figuring out how to be masters of its domain again. That's what that's where the Renaissance came from. The paintings and all the paintings, and that paved way to the Industrial Revolution. Refiguring out stuff like Archimedes' principle, indoor plumbing, stuff like that. That was all throughout the Renaissance, right? And that kind of paved the way into the Industrial Revolution, into the modern era today. That is the extremely condensed version. I missed a ton of details there. I can't explain it in 5 minutes. But long story short, the Romans got complacent. They expanded way too much, and yeah, they basically just said, "No, we have everything we need. Why do we need to keep conquering things that don't have to?" They basically became hedonism bot from Futurama. "Oh, give me another grape. Oh, yes." Basically came like that. Yeah. Corruption, mismanagement, complacency, all that kind of stuff is how society crumbles. Historically. Yeah. Yeah. They became Eddie Izzard. Yeah. Yeah, don't be complacent. Yeah, historically that has proven to not end well. Fun fact, Kaiser and Tsar etymologically derived from Caesar. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, Tsar. Kaiser. Yep, that's all derived from Caesar. Yep, empires. Mm-hmm. Oh, with the curtains. No, not the curtains. The Industrial Revolution happened in large part due to all the people being killed off by the plague. Sure. Like I said, a lot of details were omitted in my quick 5-minute explanation, but yeah. Dude, you want to wrap this right back into space news? Elon talks about this. He does. He talks about this all the time. People need something to look forward to. They need something to wake up and to drive for. Going to Mars. Electric cars, like flying vehicle. Like, we want that to be the future, right? You have to have something to strive for. And the funny thing is, he's referenced the Romans and complacency multiple times. in multiple different talks at multiple different points. I mean, I listen to every freaking speech. Every time he has a public speech, every time he speaks publicly, I listen. He's talked about this stuff before. One of the things that Elon says, like, and once again, I don't know the guy. I don't know him, but I've listened to every freaking time he's talked in public. I listen to it because it helps me understand what the frick SpaceX is working on. It helps me analyze what's going on. That, and I like him. I think he's a cool dude. But he's talked about this stuff. He's talked about complacency. You can't just wake up and just be like, there's more crap. You have to have something positive. You have to have a goal to strive for. You can't get complacent. He's talked about this. Oh yeah. He's talked about how you have to strive for a better tomorrow. You have to fight. You have to fight for that stuff. Not physically, right? You don't want any wars, but it's a constant struggle. It's the human condition. But we need something. We need to strive for perfection. I mean, I don't think perfection is obtainable personally, but yeah, to bring that all back, why did we go from, that kind of crazy civil engineering to basically Middle Ages, bring out your dead, because we got complacent. Humanity got complacent, or the Romans did, I guess. Happy birthday. Thanks, Shortline. Corruption and mismanagement, fair bit of that going around even in current times. Cause isn't the whole cause of why the world's been a pile of poop for going on the last 3 years now. I mean, history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, so just remember that. Be the Borg. No, screw the Borg. Borg, bunch of commies. Borg is communist filth, Yard. We don't want them. I don't want to be like that, do you? Screw that. What are we mad about now? Go Carthage. Yeah, basically, yeah. What's that, goalie? But yeah, I mean, like I said, Elon talks about that. And, like going to Mars and whatnot, having something positive to strive for, that's really something that's imperative to do as a human. You have to have something to look forward to, because if we don't, and if it gets to be too much bullcrap, we'll fall into complacency and humans will start fighting each other. And yeah, it could end poorly. Why are commies so bad? It was a joke, Joe. it was more of a joke than anything, but sequels, you shut your stupid mouth. Shut up. So, yeah, I mean, remember, always strive to be better. Always strive to every day to make a better version of yourself. We don't want to end up like Rome. That could end very poorly. And, us over in the West, we're carrying the torch. Seriously. Western Europe, the US, Canada, we're carrying that torch of Western civilization. That's very important to understand that. There are other civilizations that do stuff a little bit differently than us, and whatever. But we carry that torch, man, like the Olympics. How would you lead your civilization on Mars? I don't know, Seven. Interesting, W. Yeah. Yeah, great read on the topic. The Rubicon. Yep. The triumph and tragedy of the Roman Republic. Yep. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon. Yep. Disobeying orders of the Republic, of the Senate, right? I think that's what happened. He crossed the Rubicon, disobeying the Senate orders, and seized power. Right? That's what happened. And then, who screwed him over? Caligula? It's been a while, dude. It's been a while. I love democracy. Yeah, see, it's funny because a lot of people think that Star Wars is supposed to be Nazi Germany. And don't get me wrong, it does pull elements from the Nazis, like the symbolism of the Empire, etc., etc. But the Empire itself, you know, the old Republic collapsing and becoming the Galactic Empire is not Weimar Republic into Nazi Germany. No. That's Roman Republic into Roman Empire. It's almost the story to a T, which is kind of crazy. And the Emperor is Caesar, basically. I mean, it's more Roman than it is Nazi Germany. But don't get me wrong. There is symbolism. Stormtroopers, for instance. Yeah, gee, I wonder where they got that name from. That's the Senate. Yeah, I am the Senate. That actually happened. That was my knee. That actually happened in Rome. Yeah, Caesar did that. True story. Would that make Darth Vader Brutus? I don't know. I don't know how the Jedi kind of fit into it, though. If the Empire controlled 99% of the galaxy, how much money must they have had? Well, it was enough to build the biggest navy in freaking history. I mean, the Empire was no slouch when it came to defense spending. They did a lot of defense spending. The Death Star, that wasn't cheap. And then they built another one, and that also wasn't cheap. That's a lot of defense spending. Who would Jar Jar have been? Your mother. Got him! Oh, damn! Destroyed! Skip it bop. The Romans built the Millennium Falcon. What is World War II Germany if not the corrupt Roman Empire again in a way, like you said, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I mean, I'm not sure the point you're trying to make, Synerd, but sure, I guess. Yeah, sure. But yeah, you want to read about cool stuff. The Romans, man, they were doing some crazy things 2,000 years ago, like aquifers. They were doing aquifers. Heck, the Hagia Sophia that's in Istanbul. Or no, Hagia Sophia is in Rome. Excuse me. Or no, is it? No, the Pantheon. The Pantheon is what I'm thinking. The Hagia Sophia is in Constantinople or Istanbul, and that's a great building. But the Pantheon is here. You know, a lot of people like the Colosseum. A lot of people say Circus Maximus is the coolest thing. I think one of the craziest things that the Romans built was this, the Pantheon. Look at this thing. That, to this day, is the largest freestanding dome ever devised by man. The Pantheon is unbelievable. I mean, dude, okay, once again, no cranes, no bulldozers, no excavators, no jackhammers for a rock quarry. This was done with hands. Human hands made this frickin' thing. Look at how big it is. Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. No, the Parthenon is different, Mayor. It's the Pantheon. Look at that thing. That is unbelievable. It is a freestanding dome. Crazy. Lots of ramps. Very small rocks. I mean, the Pantheon is not small by any means. Unfreaking believable, dude. They freaking built that 2,000 years ago. That's unreal. That is, once again, to this day, the biggest freestanding dome ever devised by man. Look at that freaking building. Darth Vader would be Mark Anthony. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that sounds more right. A perfect 141-foot sphere can fit inside. Unbelievable. The Pantheon is insane. Like, that is just ridiculous engineering for that long ago. Like, that building would be hard to make by today's standards. That would still be something that's a little bit difficult for us to make. I mean, it is freaking damn impressive, dude. And if anybody's in Europe, like, I ain't going to Europe anytime soon, but if anybody's in Europe, you want to go on a trip, go look at this thing. The Colosseum is great, but that is way more difficult to make than the Colosseum. You know how many OSHA books would have burst into flames back in the days? Yeah, sure. We got to be careful about looking at history through a modern. You don't judge people from history with our modern sociological view on things. That's not. I find that's not a good idea. You have to understand context at the time. Now, the context of that situation, guys, if you really want to know, is that the slave trade was very much alive and well in Rome, and they basically said, we'll kill you. We will stone you to death unless you build this thing. And, I mean, I don't want to know how many people died making that thing, making the Pantheon. Still, the engineering's the engineering. I mean, don't get me wrong, slave labor. A lot of stuff in history is, yeah. Like I said, that whole complacency thing, remember that? Yeah, we don't want to do that. That's not a good idea. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that complacency will lead to slavery, right? That's a stupid way of looking at that. It doesn't inadvertently lead to that, but also, you don't want to. We need to have something to strive to, and space is a good thing. Space is a good thing to strive for, you know. Jim, with a 10-person raid, Geo Jim, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hell, that was back when men got stuff done. Yeah, on the backs of a lot of slave labor, and if you fell over, they would stone you to death. Yeah, it's when you're looking at history, fellas, don't look at it with a modern view. Like, oh my God, can you imagine how many OSHA violations there were at the pyramids? Yeah, there were probably a lot, but the context of history at the time was an important thing to understand. You're building it for the pharaoh, which is basically a god, right? So people were a little bit more willing to put in the time and effort, to say the least. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Human history is not all smiles. That's for sure. Something else to learn. Are you excited for James Webb's image reveal? Absolutely. When God asks for you to build something, Ray, you say yes. Are you a god? No? Then die. What happened today? Well, nothing. We're just talking about civil engineering and history. All of them. Yeah. But seriously though, check out the Pantheon. If you're in Europe, that is an insane piece of engineering. It is crazy even by today's standards, man. It's ridiculous. That in the Colosseum, that's pretty damn impressive. Like tiered stadium seating 2,000 years ago. I mean, when was this thing built? I think it was like 2,500 years ago. It's unbelievable. And you know what the crazy thing is that the crazy thing about like stuff like the Colosseum is that wasn't just Rome. Most Roman cities had a Colosseum like that. Most of them had stadiums. Most of them had amphitheaters. Most of them had indoor plumbing, fountains, toilets. Well, not toilets, but bathhouses and stuff. It's pretty insane. The Colosseum was just the biggest one. Every single freaking Roman city had that. And I mean, you want to get into history, right? You really want to get into this stuff. You want to know how far the Roman Empire went? Want to know how far? So the Colosseum is over here in Rome, right? Where's Rome? Where do you go? There you go. So the Colosseum is right here. Where are you? Right there. See? Dude, they've found Colosseums in London. In fact, London is Roman. It's a Roman name. So is Paris. So is Berlin. Londinium. True story. Don't forget, the Romans designed the James Webb Space Telescope. Yep. Sure. Oh yeah, the chariot racing. Ancient NASCAR. Too bad Circus Maximus was sacked. It's over here. Yep, the original short track racing. Circus Maximus was chariot racing. You could see where they were doing chariot racing right here. But the crazy thing is that there was a stadium. It was a U-shaped stadium that went all the way down, amphitheater, all the way back. Yeah, Berlin has Roman ruins, Itsumi. I'm pretty dang sure. Maybe it was just Paris and London. Could be remembering wrong. Once again, space is my thing, not so much ancient European history. How did they get the naval ships in the stadium? Flooding? Yep. Yeah, see? The false floor. You could still see it. It's still there. Colosseum had a damn false floor. They flooded it and they had ships. They had people fight each other. It's freaking nuts, dude. Hey, Rug, 57-month resub. Thank you. I mean, if I ever get out to Rome, that's gonna be the stuff that I'm going to be super interested in, you know? The Italian stuff is cool, but the Roman stuff is unbelievable. It's unbelievable engineering for the time. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's pretty junked by now. Rome, yeah, it's been through some things. What do we got over here? I don't know what that is. I thought that you were so old that you were alive during the Roman Empire. That's a stretch even for you. Serious.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
There is other stuff. Oh, what's going on over here? I wonder what that is, dude. It seems to have a direct line to the Vatican? Yes. There's the Vatican. There's Vatican City right there. He's the freaking Pope. He's the freaking Pope. Fun fact. The Vatican City is not part of Italy. It is sovereign. That's a boundary between two countries. Because basically after the Roman Empire collapsed, the Italian peninsula was a bunch of kingdoms. So was Germany, to be honest with you. Germany and Italy were basically a bunch of city-states and a bunch of kingdoms all fighting with each other, Crusader King style, for the longest time. Until they were... Long story short, we're fast-forwarding through history a lot again here. Italy didn't really come back together basically until late 1800s. Same with Germany. Germany was a bunch of warring city-states until 1870s, 1880s, somewhere around there. Vatican is the smallest country in the world with a railroad. Yep. Smaller than Monaco. And then there's some, like I said, there's San Marino. San Marino is technically another country. There's principalities like Monaco. Everybody knows Monaco, especially in this channel. But Monaco is over in France, a little different. Yeah, until Bismarck, that's right. Rocketology. Hey man, 60-month resub. What's going on? Yep. What do you think they're hiding inside the Vatican vaults? Pope things? See last regarding Berlin. Okay, let me see. What's your most favorite modern architecture, DNF? Oh, that's a good one. I want that clarification. Once again, history is not my strong suit. Spaceflight is. Berlin was founded in the 1200s. The Romans didn't really cross the Rhine River. Cologne, Bonn, mines are Roman, but nothing east of it. Yeah, that makes more sense. I think it's just Paris and London. I keep forgetting to park that somewhere. What's my favorite modern piece of architecture, DNF? Give me a date. Give me a date forward. Well, Prussia was one part of Germany. if I'm remembering this correctly. Prussia was a country that kind of went from basically where Kaliningrad is nowadays all the way over to Bremen. Prussia was up here. And then there was Hessen, if I'm remembering right. Hessen was a city-state that was basically from Cologne to Frankfurt, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then there was two more down here. I forget their names. Oh, okay, Foz. Yeah. Good stuff. List of Roman amphitheaters. Oh. Well, that pretty much jives with what you were saying. It's... I think you're correct from memory. Yeah, keep in mind, I don't really study this all the time, but it is important to know. Yeah, see, look, Britannia. Britannia? See what I mean? That was the Roman name for the British Isles. In Caledonia and, yeah, Hibernia. That's not what those are. What's your favorite piece of architecture from the Road Dog Cafe? I don't know, man. Is there a historical map mode for Google Maps? Yeah, but it only goes back to the 80s, Rocket. Syria was a Roman colony. True story. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Romans... So you want to know the crazy thing about the Romans, dudes? Every culture, every civilization that the Romans conquered, Greece, Egyptian, basically. I mean, it's a little more than that, obviously. There was a lot more different cultures around. Those are just two examples. They absorbed into their system. So the Greek gods were absorbed and became Roman gods. They renamed some of them, but they still exist in Roman mythology. They absorbed the culture when they conquered a country. They didn't erase it. It's very interesting way to go and look at it. How do you even govern a territory that big? By force is the right answer. By force. Yeah, that's the right way to say that. So, yeah, when Rome fell, they split the empire basically right here, and the Western Roman Empire collapsed, right? And then they moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium, which became Constantinople. And then Constantinople was sacked. Oh, when was Constantinople sacked? I forget. 1400s? There you go. And then what was left, you know what the crazy thing is? What was left of the Byzantium Empire went north. True story. Why did Constantinople get the works? Hey, that's nobody's business but the Turks, okay? Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, Byzantium, when that empire fell, when the Eastern Roman Empire fell, they moved north. They moved north to Moscow. Yeah. There you go. Because Byzantium was the time that Christian Orthodox kind of came into the folds, if I'm remembering correctly. Once again, it's been a while. Hey, Squall, what's going on? Yeah, it didn't so much as fall. The Ottomans moved in and... Oh, no, it very much was taken by force, Talon, if I'm remembering right. That's my word. That's my phrase of the day, if I'm remembering right. Byzantium fell in 1453 and arguably triggered the Renaissance. Oh, crap, we can actually do science with these books. Yeah, there you go. Fourth Crusade pillaged Constantinople, and then in 1453 the Turks conquered the city. Yeah, the Ottomans. Yeah, and the Ottoman Empire went pretty much all the way to World War I. Yeah. Ottoman Empire was around for a long time, dudes. Yeah, and then, like I said, the Orthodox spread all the way north, all the way up to St. Petersburg. All the way up here. Or, no, St. Petersburg is over here. It's not on the screen. War never changes. Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty crazy, dude. That history is nuts, man. Humans did some despicable things back in the day. I mean, we still do to this day. We ain't perfect, man. It's a good thing to understand. Yeah, we ain't perfect. Anybody that tries to sell you that snake oil, oh, humanity can be perfect if we just follow this one easy step. No, nope. No, that's not how that works at all. We still do some pretty fricked up stuff. Yeah, I know. I mean, the Mongol Empire, dude, Genghis Khan was a savage individual. Considering the Eastern Orthodox Church gave the Russians a written language. Yeah, that's right. Russian is based off of Greek. True story. In fact, there's a lot of the same characters. It's interesting. Brimo, I took Brimo for, just on a quick side note, for her birthday back in April, I took Brimo to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and I thought it was just going to be a bunch of paintings scattered against the walls, but actually, I mean, screw me for being this ignorant, I suppose. The Museum of Fine Arts has a bunch of Roman, like actual Roman, in Boston. It has about, like, Roman, it has Greek, like actual ruins and pots and pans and statues from all those different empires, and it was awesome. It was freaking sweet, dude. I loved it. Loved every second of it, man. It was awesome. The language isn't, but the alphabet is based off of Greek. There are some of the same characters, Ando. That's what I noticed. Some of the characters are the same, and some of the characters are the same pronunciation even in Russian. So, like, I was looking at some of the Greek that was written on some Greek pots, and I got some of the characters. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was saying, but after I looked and read the thing of what, like, the text said, I could easily see that there's a correlation there. Pretty cool, huh? Hey, thanks, Geek. Happy birthday. Right on, man. Yeah, thanks, dude. Wait, Bostonians are smart enough to understand art. But yeah, man. If you guys wanted to jump into history and stuff, I know some about this, but it is not my forte by any means. It's not my forte by any means. I know space. I know space and spaceflight history. It's space and spaceflight accessories a lot better than I know my ancient history. What about Petra in Jordan? Petra's in Jordan. It was a. It's where the cup of a carpenter was. No, that's Indiana Jones. It's where the cup of a carpenter is. Duh. We'll tell you more about history, school or games. School definitely laid the groundwork there, Foz, but I didn't pay attention that much in school. Most of this was read on my own time. Yeah, most of this. That and my sibling is an archaeologist by trade. Yeah, so I kind of inadvertently absorbed some information there. He chose poorly. Yeah, did you spot that? I'm watching the History Channel. Yeah, watching the History Channel and the Military Channel back in the day when they actually provided, history on there. I mean, there's some pretty crazy stuff in history, guys. Pretty crazy triumphs of human engineering all over the place, dudes. Actually, you want to read about some pretty crazy engineering? This part of the world, around the Netherlands, they've been taming the ocean for hundreds, not decades. Not, 20 years ago. No, hundreds of years. the Dutch have been taming the ocean because they're on a piece of land that really, 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 really wants to be underwater. Yeah. I mean, that's a hell of an engineering feat themselves. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. Hundreds. Amsterdam should be underwater by modern, like, if there was no humans here, this would be ocean. Yeah, this would be all ocean. All of it. I mean, you can literally see where the water line should be. Because it's all green. It's all very, very lush area, believe it or not. That's crazy engineering in its own right. Heck, London over here, the Thames. I mean, keep in mind this is more modern engineering, but unless you're from the UK, you wouldn't know that there's gates in the Thames River. There's the River Thames, excuse me. There's gates and stuff around. I forget where they are. There's gates that prevent London from basically becoming submerged. I don't know where they are exactly. They're out here somewhere. Yeah, the back tides and whatnot. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Also, there's one more thing over here. I'm just going to see if it... I want to see if it shows up on Google Earth. While we're in this part of the world, just got to look around. Where is it? 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 I was watching a Mark Felton video the other day. They're around somewhere. It's further down the river than you think. Oh. Well, that's good to know. The old Roman path? No, there's junk U-boats sitting out here. Believe it or not, they're around. Oh, there's one. Yeah, there's junk U-boats. Yeah. There's a Mark Felton video if you want to see why. Where are those gates at? They're around here somewhere. Is that it? Yep, there they are. That's the gates. Yep. That basically makes it so London doesn't become a gigantic swimming pool. It's the tide. They control the tides with these huge gates. Pretty crazy, huh? Oh, thanks, Dragon. Yeah, you guys watched that Mark Felton video? I watched a Mark Felton video where there's German U-boats just sitting in the freaking river. Yeah, see, there's one. Believe it or not, these aren't even. They're not Type 21s. They're not World War II. They're World War I U-boats. Believe it or not, they stripped them. They were war prizes from World War I, and they stripped them. And then the Hawks, they were like, don't know what to do with this, mate. Just put that in a harbor. Yeah, right. What happens if the gates fail? Do you like swimming, Crocker? Yeah. If you like swimming, then, yeah. It's cool, because the gates are actually, they're hemispheres. So the gates actually, they spin, like this way. They spin, and there's just, on one side of the sphere, they have just a metal grate. So these things can actually rotate into position, right? Block the tides. They can rotate forward to keep the tides from going out. They could go the other way to keep the tides from coming in. They could rotate in the upright position, like that one. I don't know why that one's doing that. Or they can rotate down and go underwater and provide a nice channel into the city. Yeah. Each one of these pivots. You see the little pivot right there? Pretty cool, huh? There's all kinds of crazy stuff like that. All kinds of cool stuff, man. That's not necessarily historic, but you get the idea. Pretty crazy, huh? Taming the Thames. I don't know how we got on the subject of ancient history, but also pretty sweet. Oh yeah, Rivian asking about Archimedes' principle. There you go. Yeah, Archimedes, freaking Greek mathematician, figured out a bunch, actually just, while we're here, he figured out a bunch of modern physics terms. Go right to him. Leverage is his. Displacement. What else? There are other ones. A little bit of a deviation of topic. Buoyancy. Yep. Lots of dynamics. Yep. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I'd have to go look. Can we add the same mode we talked about Britain, mate? Nah, I'm good. The up position is for maintenance. Oh, good to know. All right. I'm looking around. Ooh, SpaceX posted this a couple hours ago. Take a look. Ooh, what do we got here? Oh. Hang on. Can we just...
Hello, baby.
All right. Roman Waterworks space news. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yo, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Once again, the paint and the damn I hate it. I hate that so much. Why did you... Okay. Rome can into space? If Rome had gone on a little bit more and they didn't do that whole complacency thing, Hellbor, they probably would have into space a lot better. They probably eventually would have done it. Ooh. Yeah, dude, the fact that it's got S24 and the X logo on it, man, that's really cool. That's really freaking cool, dude. That's really neat. Oh, man. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, dude? Look at that thing. That thing's actually up on the test stand right now, getting back into space news. If we go over here, let's see if they can get us a segmented view. Well, this flyers are just for ground tests. Oh, lazy, that thing is gonna fly. Those hexagonal dots next to the X on the thing, those are antennas. Yeah, meaning like, at least I'm pretty sure. Chad and I were trying to figure it out. Yeah, those are antennas and stuff. I don't think that they'd be putting this kind of stuff and painting it this way if they didn't intend on sending this into space. Or at least try to. Testing is finished for the day. The next closure is tomorrow. Yeah, 24 is going to be the first orbital attempt, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think this is going to happen this month. If the testing goes right. But yeah, unfreaking real, dude. That's a freaking spaceship, man. I mean, look, once again, people. You think you know how big this thing is. And then you look at the cars and the trucks and the road and everything next to it. And then you very quickly realize that it is a lot bigger than... It is a lot bigger than you think it is. They did, Bandit. Yep, yep. I don't know, Halsey. Starship should theoretically float. Theoretically, it should. Should float just fine. I need this to go. I need this thing to go before I start my job. Colin's sick, man. Like, actually, serious. When I had a regular job, right? When my job wasn't streaming, I should say. This is a regular job. In fact, this is more regular than my previous regular job because I've been doing this a lot longer. When I worked at Best Buy, EFT-1, the first flight of Orion, was during one of my shifts, and dude, straight up, I did the ballsiest thing ever. The general manager of the store at the time, it was like a 20-year Army drill instructor. He worked at Leonard Wood and whatnot. He was Army guy, big Army guy, flat top haircut. That guy was cool. I liked him. He's a really good boss. Taught me a lot about work ethic and accountability and whatnot. I said, look, I went into the home theater area at Best Buy. Remember when they had the whole home theater setups? I went in and I casted my phone to it, and I was straight up watching the launch when I should have been working. I was counting the morning inventory, and I straight up just had the thing cranked in the home theater section before the store was open. My boss came in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Look, I know I should be doing work. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is the first flight of this," and I explained what EFT-1 was, and I'm like, "I swear to you, I will get back to work when this is done. If you want me to punch out for 5 minutes, I will absolutely do it. I just want to watch this launch." And he was like, "Hey, EJ, I know you do good work, so let's watch a launch." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" "Yeah, oh yeah." And he sat there and watched EFT-1. I watched EFT-1 with my general manager. Yeah. So, serious, if you're a good worker, you call in sick, you could get away with that stuff, but you gotta work hard. Yeah, that boss was really cool. And after it made it into space, he was like, "Okay, get back to work." I'm like, "Yes, sir." And I went and I busted my butt for the rest of the day. True story. Yeah, there you go, Zion, right? Yeah, that can't happen due to reasons. Well, sometimes, you could call in sick, serious, but like the first thing that I said, but sometimes if you're a hard worker, people will get it. Like my boss knew, he knew that I liked space. I wasn't, I was very forthcoming with that information. Let me put it to you like that. That was a good boss, Chief. Yeah, and you know what sucks? You know what happened to him? Too many people complained. Too many people complained that he was too mean, and he ended up getting moved to another place. He ended up GMing another store. It's a shame. That brought up some things. Dude, that guy was awesome. He taught me so much about working hard and whatnot. And yeah, I was bumming when they moved him. I guess he said he was too hard on somebody, and they complained to HR, and they complained to HR that the guy that was an ex-drill instructor was too mean to them. Now, I know drill instructors, okay? I know DIs. I've never served, but I know drill instructors. They're very stern, but they're very fair. And I know that this guy was the same way. So, the more likely thing that was going on there is that he was holding people accountable for their actions, and people didn't like it. Because it's not the Army, it's a job at Best Buy. Yeah, so then he got replaced with some finance bro, general manager, and yeah, it was not fun from there. Yeah, but that guy was cool. He did let me watch EFT1. He was very cool. Yeah, I called in a few weeks ago. My GM was like, okay, take it easy. And someone else calls in all the time, slacks on the job, and they got a write-up. So yes, it's true. Damn straight. You work hard, you get respect at work. I have staff. One was a football fan, so I sent him in for a meeting with me. The World Cup was on for 90 minutes. The only thing I didn't go to the meeting. Nice, QB. There you go. Shame. Yeah, right. Yeah, finance says it all. Let's min-max the company. Just let's min-max the store. Why not? That always ends well. You reminded me of that episode of Futurama, the 80s guy. It's just, yeah. The job sucked after that. Oh, boy. Anyway. So, serious, if you do work, dude, you work hard and you get your work done. Don't be lazy. I know you. Don't be lazy. You do work, you get your work done. You know, when stuff like that comes around, you need a favor, they'll help you. Yeah, maybe hurry a bit with the house thing. What's that? Off the record for planning purposes. What is this? Hold on. Let me see. It is now more theoretical than SpaceX's Starship and NASA's Space Launch System rocket could make their orbital launch attempts during the same month. Off the record for planning purpose, only dates for the two launches are now within 21 days of one another. The Starship launch date is much more slippery, but if they get through the static fire test in the next week or two, oh my. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, Starship orbital test flight or Artemis 1 is going to happen while I'm moving. I know, I can see it coming from a mile away. It's going to happen. It's going to happen while I'm moving. I don't know what I'm going to do. The absolute nightmare worst case scenario is that stuff happens when my streaming setup isn't hooked up. Which, once again, it's probably going to happen, but I'll try to play it by ear. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to be like, I'm going to schedule this specific day in August to move. And then SpaceX is going to be like, actually, we're launching that day. And I'm going to be like, yeah, okay. Okay. Dang it. And it's going to be on one of my days off, just as an added frick you. You're not wrong. Long story short, my stepdad is my boss. So stop being lazy then, serious? Jeez. In this image that you looked at, what are the boxes that look like they're wrapped up in foil? Let me take a look, Livy. That's what the laptop is for. Those things, that's just thermal protection. Those are thermal protection coverings. Yeah, of course, Hellfish. It's gonna happen. Maybe use the Route 154 gear to stream that. Das has the live view. I gave it back to him, Synerd. It was his. So I have everything that I need to do a mobile stream setup except the live view. So, yeah, that's good. Night Sun Temple. So those are protecting electronics, grid fin control, stuff like that, from what I can tell. Are they covering the RCS? There is no RCS up there, Livid. Starship doesn't have a reaction control system built into it like Falcon 9 does. It's not a nitrogen ACS. Starship has tank vents. The tank vents on Super Heavy right there are the RCS. They have 4 tank vents. Instead of having one tank vent and then a reaction control system on top, they vent residual pressure inside of the tank for reaction control. Oh, okay, Sorden. Yep. See my last. It should solve that problem. Have DOS come with a mobile setup for the week that you're off? Yeah. I don't think DOS is going to come here the week that Starship is launching. I'm pretty sure he's not doing that. I'm pretty sure he's going in the opposite direction. Remember, I live pretty damn far away from the launch pads. All right. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for space news, guys. Mobile stream. Dude, worst case scenario, I will literally stream with my phone on. Just stream from my phone. That is the cheap, quick, and dirty way of doing it if we really wanted to do that way. Oh, look. Look. Stuff about complacency. Look what your boy is saying. Humanity will reach Mars in your lifetime. Without a common goal, humanity will fight itself. Oh, geez, that's almost like what we were just talking about a second ago. Huh. See what I'm talking about? He talks about this stuff all the time. I mean, we were talking about it 6 hours ago. But, yeah, it's like your boy is putting a lot of time and analysis into what this guy says. Yeah, there's fiber out there, Blue. We're fine. I am Elon Musk, and I approve this message. The moon brought us together in 1969. Nice. Mars can do that in the future. Yes. Yes. See, your boy knows. Don't get complacent, dudes. Complacency leads to societal unraveling. Have a goal. Strive for that goal. Complete goal. Move on. Next goal. My goal for the last couple of years has been house, and I'm achieving that goal. Now that I have house, next goal,